it's Ruby. Today we're heading to Dallas, Texas to visit the American Express Centurion Lounge. This Amex lounge is in the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport at Terminal D across from Gate D12. You can easily access it once you enter the airport, go through security, and catch the Skylink train. I was able to access this lounge using my American Express Platinum card and read up on all the details in the Amex app. I always recommend using your Amex app before you go to the airport you're flying out of to learn which lounges are available and what your options are. Simply open the app, scroll down to the lounge search, type in the airport you will be traveling through, click search, and you can easily find which lounges are accessible. Always recommend checking in on your phone once you are in line for security at the airport, as sometimes this helps expedite your entry. Now, I want to point out a huge change that Amex made this year, which limits free access of guests for Platinum and Business Platinum Amex cardholders. You can no longer bring in 2 free guests until you spend $75K in a calendar year on your card. If you want to bring in up to 2 guests, it will be $60 for adults and $30 for kids under 17. Lap babies are still free, so check out this new policy. Getting back to the lounge itself, this was and is a very large space. That makes sense though, because the lounge does get pretty busy and it's in a pretty big airport. After taking an elevator up, you'll find yourself at the check-in desk. The check-in process was pretty standard. However, have your same-day boarding pass, ID, Amex card, or check-in phone code to ensure you are not rushed at the front desk. The entry area was large and led to a long hallway ushering you into the lounge. There was tons of space and places to sit, but we chose to go sit closest to the main food and also the bar area. We got to the lounge right at opening, and so there was only a continental breakfast available at the time. So we went ahead and grabbed some food and sat down and just kind of took in the scene before it got really busy, which it definitely did within about 2 hours. The bar opened up a few hours after the original opening, so make sure you check the times if you're looking to get something in the morning to drink. And also keep in mind you're only allowed to have 1 drink at a time. Now, I really enjoyed the continental breakfast. I thought the fruit was delicious, and the little muffins that they had were so good with the butter. I mean, I definitely recommend trying that. They always say everything is bigger in Texas, and I definitely felt like that with the fruit. The fruit was absolutely huge. We really enjoyed that breakfast, and then about 2 hours later, they brought out the hot items such as the eggs and the sausage, and we definitely ate that too because we were in the lounge for about 3 hours. And I want to note that's like the earliest you can get in there, and they're very strict about that because this lounge does get really busy. Right outside the main buffet area, you'll have coffee and drinks, but you can also go and get orange juice, coffee, and some of the frappuccinos from the machine. Oh, and also sparkling water. That was actually really cool, and sparkling soda. There was 2 mini stations at the very back of the lounge, and then also closer to the front where you could get those drinks and then some muffins or some continental style treats. It does change throughout the day, so make sure you check out that little station because you could find some goodies. I want to give a shout out to the serving staff at this location because they were excellent. Like, probably one of the best teams I've seen at an Amex lounge. I couldn't figure out how to get the hot milk out, and they were definitely helpful, and I really just appreciated that extra support because I was traveling with my little ones and sometimes it could be a lot. So definitely, kudos to that crew. Speaking of little ones, there was definitely amenities for them, one of them being a high chair, and then also I will show you later they had a kids area, so make sure you check that out because that was a cute little space for them. So let's take another look at all the seating that's available throughout this lounge. There was a lot of, I would say, double or single seating spaces with different views of the airport. And I did kind of like that, just like looking at the airport, even when it got a little bit busier and kind of people watching. It's just kind of a fun thing to do and just help you to pass the time as you're waiting for your flight. This Amex lounge pretty much followed the same color palette and theme as all the other lounges, with the soft tones and the different fabrics that are kind of meant to keep you calm, but also in some areas you got bright blue, so you might pick up the pace a little bit. There were a few privacy rooms that you could go and sit in and have like a conference call, or maybe if you were working on something and you wanted a little bit more of a quiet atmosphere, even though the lounge was pretty quiet, you could go in there and there was plenty of space. If you are in the lounge and trying to do some work between flights, you can ask for extra pens or paper if you need to take notes or if you just want to jot down some thoughts. That was readily available in the privacy rooms, but also in some of the other common areas. I always love that big, huge corporate space that they have in some of the lounges, especially the larger ones. I just feel like it gives this atmosphere of like, hey, I'm going to have a board meeting, even though you're probably not, unless you're traveling with your team. But it's just like going with the whole, like, airplane, airport warrior theme that they kind of are bringing back with some of the changes that they're implementing. But, just having a space to work or maybe to dock your computer and get some things done and feel like you're in a productive environment. You definitely get that feeling more towards the back end of the Amex Lounge, whereas the front, which I will show you later, had like some of the same things, like another big table, but it did feel like a little bit more lighthearted. There's Wi-Fi and a printer available in the lounge. Just make sure you grab the Wi-Fi information when you check in. And then if you need anything in order to get the printer going, or if you need help, just check at the front desk. They're pretty helpful and they'll refill the paper or help you with anything you might need. A question I always get about the Amex lounges is if there is anywhere to sleep. It is actually in the lounge behavior information on the site that you cannot sleep. They do not want you sleeping or lying on the floor or placing luggage and feet on like any of their furniture. And they're pretty strict about that. I've actually seen them wake people up. So yes, even though it's really comfy, you cannot sleep. So make sure you hit those little stations I showed you earlier with the coffee and get your big dosage. Or if you really are tired, you're going to have to leave the lounge and go sleep somewhere else. This location had 2 bathrooms available. One was towards the rear of the lounge and one was closer to the front of the lounge. There's also a children's room, which I mentioned before, that my kids really loved. Now this room is very quiet and there are toys and a TV show that's on. You can't change the channel. I mean, I guess technically you could probably ask to see, but we didn't ask and we weren't able to change it. But Bluey was on there, so basically like a Disney show, and the kids just kind of played in there quietly. You can't bring food in there, it has to stay clean, but it was just a nice space for them to just run around and kind of have like a fun time. We sat in there with them and made sure that they were being courteous and making sure that all the kids were getting along. But I really did appreciate that family space, because there's nothing worse than feeling like, it's a long layover and you want your kids to stretch their feet, but you also don't want them to be too loud to disrupt anybody else's experience. And the children's room is just like a very thoughtful space just for kids. So my overall thoughts about this lounge is I felt like it was very conveniently located, very easy to get to, and it had really good hours. I think it was open while we were there from 5 a.m. or 5:30 a.m. to 10, and that's a pretty long range of time. So definitely, if you have your Amex card and you are eligible to enter that lounge, go there no earlier than 3 hours ahead and just check out what it has to offer. Just a fun question for you as well. What's your favorite meal in the Centurion Lounge? I've been there for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I gotta say my favorite is definitely dinner. I love their dinner food, even though their food's always pretty good. Thank you guys so much for watching. It means so much to me and our team. If you like our content, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check us out on Instagram if you want to see what me and my family are doing on a daily basis. Anyways, I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.